Not since Monty Python's Holy Grail has there been a more deadly killer bunny movie. We are talking Easter, Bloody Easter. And the woman behind this, Diane Foster, who stars, directs, produces and even does some of the music for. So this is a low budget horror comedy kind of B-movie spoof film about, yes, a jackalope, a half bunny, half antelope hybrid that's kind of like a werewolf. Yes, indeed. So, look, tell me more, I hear you say. Okay, I will, don't worry. So this focuses on this small American kind of rural town, and it's just before Easter, and the local kind of church group are all kind of organising the kind of Easter festivities, and there's kind of various kind of different groups of people kind of vying for attention, shall we say, within this kind of small community. However, this community is going to be rocked with a series of grisly killings as a result of what seems to be some type of animal attack. But little do they know, it's not even the worst fears. The worst fears are kind of pale in comparison to the reality of a large jackalope, which is kind of like a bunny kind of werewolf creature. And not only that, this creature actually is able to control other standard bunnies and make them into kind of killer minions as well. It's up to a small group of women to try and band together to try and defend their sort of small town. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. Let's discuss. Alright, so this is a horror comedy, so don't go expecting a serious dramatic picture in this one. Of course you probably won't with the title like Easter Bloody Easter, but there you go. What works? There are some quite funny moments in this film, I have to say. Humour is subjective by its nature, so it's not going to be for everyone. I personally found some of the jokes hit for me, some didn't, but some of the jokes were quite amusing. There is a couple of kind of quite amusing kind of play on words and things like that that kind of did tickle me somewhat. I wouldn't say it's laugh out loud, rolling on the floor type funny, but nonetheless, I did find elements of it kind of quite amusing. This movie really excels, I think, when you have these kind of bunny attacks. I actually prefer the little minion bunnies compared to the large main kind of jackalope kind of creature, because it's just funny seeing these kind of like glowing red-eyed bunnies kind of jump at people and kind of attack them and things like that. I thought that was kind of actually kind of quite loads of fun, and it's obviously people's initial reaction when they kind of see a nice fluffy bunny. It's all like, ah, cool, and then it kind of jumps in your throat and starts gnawing away. It's kind of funny, I have to say. So this definitely has a fun, schlocky vibe to it. No one's kind of taking it kind of too serious. It does have a kind of who is the jackalope kind of plot in there, so there is actually some story elements in the kind of the movie. I will say as well, I actually think this is a movie where the music actually it does play quite a good role in it. Where I did feel there's a few kind of musical swells in this movie that actually are quite fun. You have this kind of like dramatic music when we're just about to kind of get an attack from the killer bunnies and stuff, which I thought worked pretty well. We got some kind of fun characters, everyone's kind of having a good sort of time, there's various kind of rivalries and things, so there's kind of quite a lot going on, quite a large cast really, with some very somewhat over the top characters, but nonetheless there's definitely a kind of an element of fun, of schlock in this movie. It's not taking itself too seriously. Diane Foster has been actually quite a prolific producer to this point, and starred in a few kind of horror movies. She's no stranger to the kind of the horror genre, and here she's effectively kind of got most of the reins in her hands. I think she does a fun job, an irreverent kind of absurdist horror comedy, if you kind of like that sort of thing. Or it doesn't work. As I've kind of said, I mean, comedy by its nature is going to be subjective, so not everyone is going to find the kind of the goofy, sort of silly humour, particularly to their taste, so bear that in mind. I mean, like I've said, I think some of the jokes worked for me, but some didn't. Some of it I just found a little bit kind of like silly, goofy, immature. But you know, it's a little scattershot in regards to its comedy hit rate, I would say. For me, I actually wish it would have had more of the kind of the bunny attacks. I think if I had to level a criticism with this movie, it spends a little bit too much time in the kind of like the rivalries with different kind of townfolk and their kind of beefs with one another and kind of interactions and stuff. And I would suggest this is probably not what people are watching this movie for. Yes, you would have built up the characters and stuff, and I think they could have done that, but still had a little bit more screen time to given to these kind of like these bunny attacks. I also would have amped up the gore a little bit more. Yes, there's a little bit of gore, there's a little bit of blood, but I don't think it would have hurt the film had they really kind of you know, lent into that a little more. I think at the moment it's trying to go for more of a somewhat violent vibe, but not trying to put sort of younger people off perhaps, and as such it's a little toothless in a weird way. But it's, you know, it still is a reasonably kind of high body count and stuff, but it's nothing too spectacular on screen in regards to the kind of the kills and stuff. The actual Jackalope itself, as I say, there is a mystery involved there about who it is. I don't think it was a particularly kind of captivating story element to the film, I have to say, and the Jackalope kind of design, so to speak, I think it's fun in some shots, but when we kind of get to our end scene, it kind of looks different to some of the other shots, and it goes from looking quite fun and a kind of quite a cool movie monster to looking like more of a Halloween costume, I have to say. I don't know if they've used multiple suits, or if it's just well lit in one particular kind of shot, but yeah, it's a little inconsistent. I think maybe the movie tries to have too many characters to the point where you kind of get lost with a little bit of who's who and what's kind of going on with certain sort of like little mini arcs within the movie. And again, this is, I think, largely going to be a taste issue. It is a very irreverent style movie. The comedy isn't going to be for everyone. If you don't like silliness, then maybe the movie isn't going to be for you, because it's not trying to be a serious movie. I do think there is an element of fun, and I do think it's kind of like a little bit of a fun throwaway kind of like movie. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a classic on anyone's kind of like you know, lists at the end of the year or anything like that, but it's a fun, okay watch. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Please do leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.